couple years down the road,
Hmm.
it is a hot, historically hot
Hmm.
Midwest summer.
Not good.
And for people who've never been to the Midwest, there's a lot of humidity. It can make places that you would not normally think of as like very hot. It makes them very hot.
Hmm.
It makes
Hmm.
them as hot as anywhere in the country on, at certain times. And that's what they say in the Midwest. It's not the heat that gets you, it's the humidity.
That's
It's
right.
the fog of the day.
Hmm.
It's the soup that you walk out into when you leave your house.
Yeah. It's the hanging wetness.
The hanging
That's
wetness of the
right.
Midwest
The
has
midwet.
been, oh, you are more than mid wet. You are full wet. It is incredibly humid. Again, very hot. And to the point that you're just kind of like, should I like leave? Should
Hmm.
I like try to like go somewhere to escape this while it is hanging wet over my area?
Hmm.
But you watch the news, right? You put on the news and they say that there's relief ahead, right? Emmy award-winning cameraman Jim Thorpeman swoops in with a super tight shot right
Wow.
on the weatherman's face. His name is
Hmm.
Daryl Tuffman, the toughest weatherman in the tri-state area. Daryl
Yeah.
Tuffman was a cage fighter for years. He ascended up the regional ranks. He fought in some large national promotions. He never quite fulfilled the promise of his youth, but he did pretty fucking good. He made a little bit of money,
Yeah.
right? Put a little bit of it aside. Bought a
Hmm.
house, in the Omaha area where he's from, and learned to be a weatherman. And he has openly called
Yeah.
out any other weatherman in a tri-state area. His very first day, he says he stepped onto the green screen and he says, uh, "Hi everybody, I am going to be your new meteorologist around here."
Right.
He goes, "You can call me Toughman." He goes, "If you want to call me anything else, I'll meet you at the nearest Waffle House to your home, as long as you're within a 90-mile radius."
Well, Omaha got a Waffle House. That's cool.
He says, "Today's going to
Uh,
be 73 for the low and a scorching 98 for the high." He kind of like goes through the whole thing, right? And
yeah. Yeah.
weathermen across the tri-state area do not fuck with him.
No, Bill Ramby is shook.
Shaking in his fucking loafers as we speak. He's raising a cup of coffee to his lips, looking out over the horizon as
Yeah.
the sun dips below it. And he thinks, I've conquered a lot of the weather mountains in my career. He goes, but one will
Yeah.
always elude me. He takes a sip of that coffee and he just whispers to himself, Huffman. So, you're like, it's hot, right? It's very hot in Omaha. But
Can I tell you
again,
one thing? Can I tell you one thing about
sure.
Omaha weathermen? There's a guy, a weatherman, in Omaha. His real name is Rusty Lord. So just
Rusty
use that
Lord is
right.
absolutely
Just
aware,
take that.
And I want
Yeah.
you to know that Rusty Lord has a true fear of the violence that would be rained down upon him if he were
If
ever
I
to
was
engage in
Rusty,
stuff.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You
Well, I
know,
mean, if you strike fear into the Rusty Lord, then you are a tough man.
he is. Nobody fucks with him. He
Mhm.
he does actually stop uh a perpetrator on site. There was a guy who was trying to break in to win like tickets to go see like a live studio taping or something. You're right. He got into an unauthorized area and he got taken down.
Mm.
People say he tapped, but nobody saw him tap.
Right.
So his fucking leg got broke. Everybody
Yeah.
testified. Yeah, we didn't see any tap, you know. It goes to
Yeah.
he goes to court, right? There's video surveillance of Tuffman tearing this 23-year-old jerk off's knee apart, but
Yeah.
nothing
Yeah.
happens to him.
Yeah. Taps are legally binding. Like they're legal action.
In the Midwest, they are. Dana White is now the Secretary of the Interior, the guy who runs the UFC, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
He's made a lot of changes. Either way, you are told that relief is coming because a cold front is moving in and the weather might
Finally.
finally break for the first time this year.
Hmm.
You they say it should be coming in late at night. They're expecting the storm, the cold front. It's a Saturday. You don't have anything going on. You're kind of like you're doing some dishes in your sink. You got the window open. You feel a little bit of a cool breeze blow in. It chills the sweat on the back of your neck. You kind of perk up and you look outside and it looks a little darker than it should be. You grab something to drink, put your headphones on, you go outside onto your porch and you're just watching the weather roll in. And you can feel the temperature sort of start to change. In the distance, you see
Right.
heat lightning as the conflict of two weather systems collide. It's just so hot and muggy on the air. And there's this hot air combining with this cold air. The next thing you know, you see a giant funnel cloud
Wow.
form in the distance.
Not good.
It is not good.
Mm-mm.
Immediately you hear tornado sirens go off.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The wind picks up, it howls. You see this giant cloud sort of slowly marching in your direction. It just feels so inevitable.
Right.
You're
Right.
seeing shit get caught up in its whirlwind.
Mm-hmm.
Mailboxes,
No.
shrubbery.
No.
One of your neighbors put up a billboard in his yard.
Yeah.
It just says "fuck the libs," right? And it's swirling around, right?
Yeah. Well, put a billboard in your yard, it's gonna get torn out by God.
That's what you think as you look at that fucking sign swirl around that storm.
Mm-hmm.
So in like all the videos of this giant tornado that is like wreaking havoc on your area, you just see the words "fuck the libs" like swirling around over and over, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It trends on Twitter for a little while, but you're terrified because again, this thing, it's like you're looking at it and like the wind is a roar of its own voice and you feel like it's yelling your name and it is coming right at you.
Wow. Yeah.
You
Well,
retreat.
I want to go to the basement. Why don't I go to the basement?
You do. You go to the basement. You look at this thing and
Okay.
you go, "Oh fuck." And you go to the basement, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your power gets knocked out.
Oh no.
You think, okay, who knows how long it's going to be? You've got everything like you've got like a deep freeze full of fruit, food in it and stuff. You're like, just don't open
Mm-hmm.
anything, just ride it out.
Right.
This could be over fast.
Right.
You hear the roar of that fucking tornado as it just encroaches slowly, ever marching towards where you are. You feel like it moves with your body as you like walk through your house. It changes its path.
Wow.
Like
What a feeling.
it is on a string that is tied to your heartbeat,
Like a lover.
like a fucking lover, and she's coming and you're ready to bust. You're waiting there
Yeah.
because
Weird
it's
weather relationship.
it's I mean we've all been in a position I think with somebody where you just you know there comes a moment where you just know what's gonna happen, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you understand the sexual temperature and the sexual weather. You can
You do.
forecast it.
You
Yeah.
feel it. You feel that cold breeze run through your home.
Mm.
Your nipples get diamond hard
Hey.
out of fear and of the chill that runs up your spine.
Okay.
So you know, you hear the rumble and the clattering of things in your house. You feel like the wind is ripping at it, trying to tear it from its moors, you know, like trying to just
Mm.
fucking rip it loose and take it wherever it wants to go.
Oh, I hope it doesn't.
But it doesn't.
Good.
It doesn't. You
Good.
sit there in fear, right? You know, eventually the power comes back on after a couple of hours, you know. But before the
Right.
power comes back on, in the immediate aftermath, you walk out your front door, right? The
Mm-hmm.
neighborhood is fucking leveled. Okay.
Wow.
Some some
Historic
of
neighborhood too.
some of the homes that have been there for the longest that were just ripped right off of its foundation, right? Like
Mm.
some places are leveled and then others don't look like they've been touched. So people
Tragic.
are coming out, you know, they got their hands on their head. People are rushing over to
Mm.
your neighbor who's like their house is fucking in the street. You know, they're all kind of cowering in their basement. They're holding on to one of the metal poles that ran through the spine of the house,
Wow.
and everybody's like the community is coming together. That's like everybody's immediate focus is like people have lost everything. Like let's them and make sure that they're okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so that and everything that happened that you thought my first instinct was not to see how this had affected me, but what I could do to help others.
Right. The
So you run.
Midwestern.
It's a Midwest.
Yeah.
You imagine. So you spend the next couple of hours helping, right?
Right.
There's like a FEMA truck comes in and crosses there, and you're helping people make sure that they have water, and you're setting up tents and beds. You know, you're there to help to be a set of hands, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
By the time of this, it's late. It's like 2 in the morning. Okay. And by the time that everybody's like, hey, we got this under control. Thank you for your help. Like your community is incredibly grateful.
Mm-hmm.
The neighborhood is like pretty quiet at that point. You know, it's the immediate aftermath of a devastating storm. You go walk back to your house. It looks fucked up, you know, like you've definitely got some landscaping that had been uprooted, right? Hard
Right.
flag that was on the house when you bought it and you just never took it down. That's fucking gone, you know. So that
Oh no.
you lose that hurts the most.
It really hurts.
You know, you've had fears about losing it before. You've looked up the replacements on eBay and they're not cheap, you know.
No,
But
I
you
mean
think, you know,
it's charming. It was a charming flag.
you think that. You think that it's a charming flag and it add a lot of charm to the home. And honestly, if you wind up having to file an insurance claim, yeah, you're gonna
Mhm.
put that in there. It
Yeah, but
was a
how can you put a
collector's
price on
item.
it?
Well, you know, you go to eBay, you find the complete, you know, you find what it's
Mhm.
sold for recently, I guess, you know.
Mhm.
You've already thought about this.
Mhm.
So yeah, it does look a little fucked up, but certainly your house has survived and then some. You know, there's not like even any shingles missing or anything. You're in really good shape.
Hell yeah.
You go into your bed, you take like the fastest shower you could fucking imagine, and you fall asleep and you sleep the sleep of death. You do not move, you know. You just
Mhm.
wake up in the exact same position, right? You wake up, the light has like started to come up. You know, it's in the summer, so you have some long days. You wake up, you got a dick full of piss.
Oh man.
You go to the
Yeah.
bathroom, you
One
let it
tragedy
out,
after another.
you flush the toilet,
Hell
you go
yeah.
to the sink, you get some water from your sink, you look out your kitchen window, you look into your backyard,
Mm.
and you didn't even go out there last night when you came home. You were so exhausted. You look into your
Hmm.
backyard, and an above ground pool has landed in your backyard,
What the hell?
right? An above ground pool filled with water has landed in your backyard.
It's still filled with water?
Yeah, it's you kind of go, what the fuck? You walk outside,
Yeah.
right? You walk outside. Yeah, it's a pool that is filled with water.
Whoa.
And you like look at the side of the pool, and there's just like a bunch of like very crude drawings, like big pairs of fucking tits, you know.
Whoa.
There's
Yeah.
there you look at the very like bottom of the pool, there's like a dick and balls that like they make circle the entire pool. It's like a very long dick and balls that wraps all the way around. And then
The
there's like a
party
little
pool.
butthole, you know, and it's the tip of
Yeah.
that penis is like pressing into its own butthole.
Whoa.
That encircles the very bottom of the pool. But most of the like the
So
panels of the pool have some sort of
Mhm.
crude drawing or, you know,
I mean, this pool is
like
crude in two ways.
it's invasive, that's for sure. You know, it just landed there right in the middle of your
Yeah.
backyard.
Yeah. I wouldn't
You
I
look,
mean, if I had to decorate a pool, it would not be with dicks and butts.
no, that's certainly not your pool, but you look and it's like the pump is running. And you
Oh.
look and you have like an extension cord out in your backyard that's like in your
Hmm.
shed. And somehow when this thing landed in your pool, it got plugged into this extension cord and that pump is running. And this pool water, my man, is sky blue.
Wow. I mean, this is no accident. This is a planned pool plop.
You kind of go, what the fuck? You like you're like focused on the fucking drawings on the edge of this pool. You're just kind of walking on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And
I'm
then
interested.
all of a sudden you hear a few different gasps for breath and you look up and standing in the pool are four characters.
Oh no.
They're all wearing like white robes. They have
Okay.
they have like this like small light above their heads, like a halo
Mm.
of light.
Hmm. Pool angels.
There's a tall skinny one. He kind of like takes a big breath and he goes, "Hey mister, we're really sorry." He goes, our pool fell and it landed in your yard. We're just trying to get it back."
I
You
say,
look
hey, buddy, no problem. Take as much time as you want.
he goes, "Thanks, man. I really appreciate it." You kind of look around and you're like looking at the panels. He's like he kind of like blushes, you know,
Yeah.
at how
Yeah.
crude it is. He you see him start to like swim. They're all swimming like clockwise, you know, around the pool.
Mm. Hmm.
The tall skinny one and then they're like moving, you know, they're getting at a pretty good pace. There's two like short fat ones, you know.
Mm. Hmm.
The fourth one is like this he he he's like a classic good looking boy next door angel.
Right. Right.
He's got this windswept chestnut brown hair.
Yeah. It's gonna be a heartbreaker.
He's got a square fucking jaw,
Wow. What a lucky duck.
piercing blue eyes.
Wow.
He kind
Way
of
to kill
like
him.
sort of like they're like swimming by you, right?
Hmm.
You see the lights of their halos whirring through your backyard. They get it going pretty quick. I'll be honest with you, right? And you see the one guy kind of stop and he like huffs and puffs, right? He stops running and just sort of like gets swept away by the direction that he and his fellow angels have created with this water.
Yeah. The
You're kind of just
whirlpool.
standing there watching.
I'm watching.
He kind of like grabs onto the side of the pool and he goes, "I would never normally do this." He says, "But the fellas and I, we could really use your help." They say, "We can't." They say, "We don't." He kind of like, you can tell that he's like frustrated that he's
Yeah.
having to ask a human, you know, he's like, "We could use a little more horsepower."
Well, how can I help, my friend?
He goes, hop on in. He goes, you can help us make this whirlpool. We'll get this thing off the ground. We'll get it back to where it belongs, and we'll be forever in your debt.
Wait, you're telling me that this pool can fly?
He kind of like he shushes you. He goes, shut the fuck up, man. He goes, they're gonna hear us. Okay, this pool should not be here. He goes,
Who's
if I get in
they?
trouble with this, you're gonna get in trouble with this. Are you helping me or not?
Yeah, I guess, but like I'm a little confused.
He kind of like walks over to where like the ladder is, right? You walk over there,
Mm.
you get in. He goes, by the way, he goes, my name's Brian. He like shakes your hand. It
Hey, Brian.
feels so soft.
Wow. That's because he's been in the pool for so long. Probably his pruny ass
Could be.
hands. Yeah.
No prunes. No prunes found on his
Whoa.
hands. He just has
This
very soft skin. He points to the two short, fat ones. He goes, that's Jim. That's Terry. They each kind of raise their hand. He says, this is Alpha. Alpha smiles at you. Just a fucking such a charming, kind boy next door kind of look, you know? He goes, okay. He goes, what's your name? Brian does. Do you give him your name?
The angel took him.
So you kind of
Okay, I
pass
just
out
met
from
Brian.
you pass out a little bit at the sight of these guys that are a little bit of your world, and you come to,
Okay.
and you're kind of like you just shook an angel's hand, you know?
Wow. What an
He kind of like
honor.
sees you come back. He points to the two short, fat ones in the back. He goes, that's Jim, that's Terry. They each raise their hand. He points to
Hey,
the handsome one. He goes, this is Alpha. And he gives you just
hey,
this
Alpha.
charming wry grin that you know
Oh,
no
okay.
grandmother could resist.
Yeah.
If he were to give a
This
woman over 60 years old that smile and she had a granddaughter that was
yeah.
within 4 years of his perceived age range, she was going to try to hook them up.
Hmm. Why wouldn't she?
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Some of us are lucky. So
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
goes, get behind Terry. And they kind of, you guys kind of like spread out, you know, like
Hmm.
five wide. And he goes, all right, go. And you guys all start swimming, like pushing in one direction, right? You're pushing this thing clockwise.
Hmm. Hmm.
You, you feel the speed of it sort of pick up and you
Yeah.
kind of like are aware of like your own mortality in that moment where you're like, oh, am I biting off way more than I can chew? You know, slowly
Yes.
you
Something's happening.
adjust,
Something
you know,
different.
you adjust, you pick up the pace, you're huffing, you're
Hmm.
puffing. You look down into the center of that pool, you see the floor of it. You see the exact moment where
Holy
you guys are
smokes.
spinning the water fast enough that the very center, it's a spot that's the size of a dime. You could drop it in there, no problem. A crow flies overhead. You've
Hmm.
been trying to get like
Hmm.
you this crow has been bringing you a lot of silver objects. This crow like flies overhead and it
Hmm.
drops a dime and it lands exactly into that spot. The crow says, "You're
Wow. Good
welcome."
shot,
And then it
Crow.
flies away, right? You don't really notice it
Oh,
though, because you're huffing and puffing. And the next thing you know,
right.
this full pool of water has enough upward momentum that it raises off of the ground. You hear Brian laugh. He goes, "Keep going. You guys just run as fast as you can, right?" You look
Mhm.
across directly across the pool from you is Alpha. Every now and then you just catch a glimpse of him, beads of sweat rolling down his magnetic face.
Wow. He's really giving it his all.
You all are, right? And you're running,
That's
and
that's what
all
we
of
love
you
about
are.
Alpha.
Yeah. He inspires you to push yourself to
Mm,
be the best version of you that you can. So
yeah.
you're running,
Yeah.
and that circle
That's
just
why he's
kind of
Alpha.
expands and it gets bigger, right? The water gets sent further and further up the sidewalls of this pool, and you're eventually just like running like a hamster on a hamster wheel, right? It sort of tilts on its
Mm-hmm,
side, and you
mm-hmm.
guys are just running the water like a hamster wheel. And you send. You feel it with your body, you feel a jolt of terror just sort of like run throughout you as you see like the that your house below you gets smaller and smaller and everything you know sort of fades away.
Wow.
And then eventually you ascend up through a cloud and you
Yeah.
can't even see your house anymore.
Scary.
Brian says, "Hold," and everybody
Like,
stops running.
I mean,
And that pool lands onto that cloud. All the
whoa.
water gets sent back to the middle of the pool. You like get sucked under with it, you know. They kind of laugh at you. You get out of the pool, right? You feel your
It's
feet
my
land on the
first
soft
time.
cloud. Sure. Brian
Wow. What an
recognizes it.
experience.
He goes, I remember my first time, right? And then they everybody kind of like
Mm,
giggles, they kind of laugh at you. You walk through like a veil of clouds and you see that they have like a setup. There's like a chair that's made of clouds. There's a couch that's made of clouds. There's a
nice.
big TV that's made of clouds. There's a little
So I'm like
table.
in a
Brian kicks his feet.
backyard in the sky.
Yeah, there's like a tire swing hanging from a cloud tree, right?
Whoa.
There's like an old busted up toilet
Wow.
that they actually use to like
Cool.
shit and piss in. So you're kind of like looking around, right? And
Yeah.
Brian sits down and he's like, "Thanks for your help, man. We really appreciate that." He goes, "You know how pissed off our parents would have been if they found out that like a tornado that we had this pool that we've been hiding here. You know how mad they'd be? Like we're not supposed to have like your stuff up here."
Wait,
Alpha
did you
goes,
make the tornado?
Brian kind of like picks up a remote on the like the cloud like table. He points at the TV, he
Mhm.
turns it off. You look up, and for a split second, you see a gigantic tornado just terrorizing a town. And then Brian goes,
Oh
"No."
no.
He goes, "You need to get out of here." You kind of like peer over the side of the
Uh,
you peer over the
yeah.
side of the
How am I
cloud, and
supposed to
you're
get out of here?
he goes, "I don't know, man, not my problem."
What the fuck,
Bill
Brian?
Bill and Terry kind of like
Like, dude, I
they
helped you get
snicker,
your pool. Whoa,
Alpha
you guys
brushes
are
his
dicks.
windswept hair from his eyes.
Mm,
Brian turns that TV back
thought we were a
on for
team.
just a split second. You see the tornado again, right?
Mm,
You're like, "What the fuck?" He like
mm-hmm.
pauses it and you like look at it and it's like a tornado. And you can see that it's like from the point of view of like from a cloud looking down at this tornado ravaging this town. And they're like zoomed in, and it's you on your house, and it's like you can see into
Yeah.
your bedroom window and you're just jacking off. He doesn't realize it, but you
Oh
look at
no,
it and
how
you look at
embarrassing.
it, you look at it and you go, "Oh no," like it's you. They haven't caught on yet, you know?
Yeah.
But you're wearing like a bright yellow t-shirt in like the
Yeah.
picture with your dick is out, and you're wearing the same like yellow t-shirt now.
Whoa. That dude, that's embarrassing. I'm gonna become a meme or something. Like that,
So
like
Brian's like,
fucking I'm jerking off on the news.
"Well, it's like the angel news. It's not
Oh,
like human
okay.
news.
That's
It's
less
not a channel
important.
you can get.
I don't
We
know.
don't yet possess the ability to put a camera in like a cloud."
Okay. Yeah, that's not as important because like I don't know many angels. I just met some, but I don't know any.
Yeah,
Like
but
no
heaven
no
is
angels are gonna
real. So
judge me.
every like kind, nice person you've ever known is in heaven, and they're all watching you jack off. Family members,
Oh, come
friends,
on.
you know, people who remember you from
Oh
comedy.
man. I
There's
don't
a there's a
know that.
there, there's somebody who saw you in uh Knoxville, Tennessee, at a place called the Kickin' Spittoon. And it's just like normally it's like a honky tonk bar. They
Mm,
did a comedy night there, and one guy, it was his first time ever seeing comedy.
right.
His name was Fontaine
Hmm.
Carson, and he died
Yeah,
like
Mayor Fontaine.
the, like the next night. He was you like connected about him because he just looked like an old man. But it was one of like his last like
Right.
most prized nights. He was at the end of his life. He knew it. You made him smile. You connected with him, and he died the next day, a happy
Wow.
man. He went to heaven, and right now he is watching you crank that dick.
Hey, you know,
And a
we all gotta
smile
crank it
comes
every
across
once in a
his
while.
face.
Yeah.
He feels the same way.
Well,
He
this
said he whispers to
this guy's
himself. He
just a fan
goes,
of my work.
he says, I hope you feel half the joy that I did watching you. And he just smiles.
Oh.
So Brian, like, he's like, dude,
I mean,
you gotta
that's
go. You
yeah.
can't be found here with this.
Well, then take me back.
He goes, I can't take you back. That's not how it works.
Well, how am I supposed to
You
get
you
back
hear
then?
a low rumble. You look out across like an evil an even sight line to where you are. You see clouds across the way shake.
Mhm.
You're like, what the fuck? And then Brian stands up. He goes, oh shit. Oh shit. Alpha like runs a hand through that fucking chestnut hair in a rare moment of
Wow.
concern. Bill and Terry just kind of look at each other. They hug one another. And you're standing there like, what's the big deal? And Bill's hands shake. He drops the remote, right? He steps out in front of the TV and it's like
Mhm.
zoomed in tight on you, like your head thrown back in a moment of ecstasy, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I
And you
get it.
see you see the barrier of clouds on the next cloud over sort of part, and standing there is a woman. She sort of like steps out into
Mm.
the nothingness and just walks across, and she goes, boys, what are we doing here? She kind of like surveys the place. She sees like all the crew drawings of tits and vag and stuff and big old dicks and things like that.
Yeah.
And she goes,
Hmm.
how do I explain to you guys that this kind of stuff is not allowed if you're an angel? And she sort of wipes the clouds
Hmm.
concealing the pool away, and she just kind of gasps and she goes,
Hmm.
"Are you fucking kidding me?" And she looks at Bill and she kind of like Darth Vader like raises her hand and he like rises up out of his chair. He's sort of gasping for breath and he says, "I'm
Whoa.
so sorry, God." Right? And all the other boys like get down on
Oh,
their
it's
knees,
God.
right? And God looks at you
Wow.
and she goes, "What the fuck are you doing here?" And she snaps her fingers and the cloud
I don't
beneath you
know.
dissipates and you just start falling through the sky. You're just falling and falling, right?
Oh
You fly
man.
like you fly through like a set of balloons that a man released. He was asking his wife to marry him and she said no and he was like, "Well, fuck this." And they were just a bunch of balloons that were significant of the worst moment of his life. You like get caught up in them. They burst around you. It
Mm.
hurts your ears. You're just flying. You're just like heading straight towards the ground. You like splat face first in the middle of a parking lot of an Applebee's, and you get spread out onto all the nearby like shrubbery of like a small shopping complex, and everything within 50 feet dies.
Oh God.
Everything 50 feet dies, and they are never nothing
That's
ever grows there
terrible.
ever again, ever again.
I'm toxic.
Yeah,
That sucks. And then
somebody.
like even if I go to heaven, everyone in heaven see me jerk off.
Oh,
So
you do
like
not
that's
go to
not even a
heaven.
good place to go.
No, you go directly to hell. I mean, God cast you out of heaven, you know?
Oh,
God cast you out, and so
oh,
when you
fuck.
splattered,
Yeah,
like
that's bad. You can't piss off the big guy.
your liver and like some of your midsection like hit a window, and a guy was like finishing up his soup, and he goes, check please, and then like there was nothing left of you. You were just a wet mess all over an asphalt parking lot.
Oh man, that sucks.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I was in heaven for a second.
No, you
Yeah,
were on a cloud. You
man, and
trust me,
God
you
just
were not
threw
in
me
heaven.
out.
Rules were broken,
Oh,
man. You know,
and
rules were broken, and you paid the
God
consequence, I
didn't like me
guess.
that much.
God was clearly disturbed by
I don't
by
feel this
the
is my
the
fault. I
presence
don't.
of like a human, and also a human what do they call it, contraband, covered
Right, but
in big old
I
titties
think I'm not.
and a penis going all the way around to the
I don't
butthole.
think this is my fault.
I mean, they wouldn't have gotten it back up there without your help, so I mean, did you help
Well,
them?
I mean, no
Did
good
you get
deed's
in
gonna
there
go
and run?
unpunished.
Yeah, you did a good deed. You got that.
Well, I
Your
learned my
reward was getting to
lesson.
hang out on a cloud
Yeah,
for a little bit. But ultimately, you broke one of God's
not worth
rules,
it.
and you were sent back to Earth. It's not her fault you didn't survive.
Not my God.
She like snaps her
Yeah,
fingers
it
and the cloud
is.
dissipates. And the boys like all kind of look like in horror as you plummet to your death. And she goes, there's so many of them. And she just like walks away.
Yeah, but that's her fault.
I'm just telling you what happens, man.